Hello, this is Haley from Starlight Cafe, and today we're going to be talking about Wednesday Season 2. So to give a non-spoiler summary of Wednesday Season 2, which I don't know if you would even need because you've probably already seen Season 1, so you know what Wednesday is about, but Wednesday Season 2 is basically Wednesday Season 1, but different and maybe a little bit more going on. With that said, I'm going to give you to the count of 3 to get out of here if you don't want any spoilers. 1, 2, 3. Alright, for those who've stuck around for the rest of the review, thank you for joining me today. I think I want to start by talking about Wednesday. So, I thought Wednesday did quite a bit of growing last season, and it seems she's regressed quite a bit at the beginning of this season. And that's okay. Growth isn't linear, I get that. But there were pretty much the same stuff in the sense that you watched painfully as Wednesday failed to stop doing everything herself and really maintain connections with people. A lot less manipulation this time around, though, which is good. I should say manipulation of her friends or allies. That said, overall, it is still a satisfying character arc. It definitely took a lot longer to come around, though. My gosh, Wednesday, you are so stubborn. But I really did like the dynamic you had going on with Wednesday, and we got a lot more Wednesday and Morticia, which is great. That's what I was looking forward to, or hoping for, I guess. We got a lot more Tyler, a lot more backstory with Tyler and his mom, which I was hoping for. We got more Wednesday and Enid, which I didn't know I was hoping for. I guess I wasn't open about that as strongly as I was the other two things, but I'm definitely happy about it. And a lot more a lot more Enid development just in general. Enid really was like a main character this season. Yeah, this is Wednesday, so it's Wednesday-centric. That's just par for the course. But this is definitely not as Wednesday-centric as last season was. We got a lot of... Bianca got her whole own plot. Enid had a lot more focus. Actually, all the returning characters, really, with maybe the exception of Fester, got a lot more focus this season. Even, like, Gomez and Pugsley got more shine this season than last season. Pugsley, because obviously he's a Nevermore student now, and Gomez and Morticia because they were literally living pretty much on Nevermore grounds. Also, in the comments maybe, tell me if anybody else felt this way, but I felt like Wednesday shares a similar plot structure to, or season-to-season structure to the Harry Potter series. At least the original series, the original 7 books, or 8 movies, however you want to look at it. Where, like, you go from school year to school year. Now, I don't think Wednesday is going to be 7 to 8 seasons, like where Harry Potter was 7 years, 7 books. I don't think this is going to be 7 years. I think Wednesday is significantly older than what Harry Potter would have been at the start of his series. I could be wrong on that. I guess I'd have to Google that, which I don't feel like doing mid-review. And you know what? I'm here for it. Honestly, it kind of is a nice way to break things up. But before we talk about the new characters, let's talk about some of these old characters and how I feel about them this season. So Enid, wonderful, great development, and clearly she's going to be a key part of Season 3. Whether or not she actually gets much screen time, I don't know, but definitely Season 3 is going to be about Wednesday hunting down Enid, and hopefully Enid will still be Enid, good old Enid. because I love Enid, although I was quite disappointed with her this season because I'm not a big fan of cheating. It's up there on the list of things that I find quite unacceptable. However, that said, it seems like she's learned her lesson on that, so I think I'm gonna let it slide. But that was definitely wrong, and she definitely got her karma for that, so I'm gonna call that good writing. Moving on, let's get back on track. I did like the way Enid went this season. She's very important. She had her own lesson to learn, which, how would I put that into words? What was Enid's lesson? I guess the best way to explain how I feel about the lesson Enid needed to learn would be Enid needed to learn to not be so afraid of being alone and to have more faith in the friendships that she's built. Also, maybe to put herself in other people's shoes. I think that's something that her and Wednesday both had to learn together was just, have faith in the people around you and put yourself in someone else's shoes. Not everything is about you, which they probably, the characters, probably understand that on a surface level, but I think this was especially with that body swap episode, or maybe it was 2 episodes, I think they understand on a surface level, but the episode where their body swapped was, to me, a clear, a more overt way of getting that message across to the viewers of this is kind of the lesson they need to learn, that they need to put themselves in other people's shoes, or at least in each other's shoes, have more faith in each other. And to kind of support that point, what I'll give as an example, besides the body swap episode, is Wednesday. A lot of her problems with Enid came from not being upfront and honest with Enid about the fact that she had a premonition that Enid was going to die. And so from Enid's perspective, it's like, why are you leaving me out of everything? You think I'm incapable? Or I can't remember her exact wording, but it's been brought up a couple times during the season where Enid felt like Wednesday thought that she was incapable of taking care of herself or of holding her own. And there were moments where she would have died if it weren't for some outside interference. However, Wednesday had the same problem, and I will give the confrontation with the 2 Hydes, Tyler and his mom, early into the season, I will give that as an example of what I mean, where Wednesday also would have died if it were not for outside intervention. Another part of her big lesson is to, I guess really Wednesday's lesson has always been just be upfront and honest with people and put more trust into other people, because, with her relationship with her mom, a lot of that was based on the fact that the 2 of them keep lying to each other and not trusting each other to get the job done, which I guess maybe you can make the argument that's more of a having faith in the other person's abilities. However you want to look at it, the core issue here is Wednesday doesn't believe that her mother has her best interests at heart, or that her mother is capable of doing the things that need to be done because she's swayed by emotions. However, Morticia has the same issue where she doesn't believe that Wednesday has the tools she needs emotionally or mentally or physically to do the things that she ends up being capable of doing. And Wednesday needed to learn that lesson not just with Morticia, but with Enid and with actually, she was pretty good about putting Agnes up to different tasks. So yeah, I think that's where I stand with that. Bianca, awesome job. She basically had her own plot. The morning song stuff, that's another thing that I was hopeful we would get more of this season, and we did. So, morning song, very interesting. I feel like the route they went was kind of lackluster. I expected Morning Song to be a bit more intimidating than it ended up being, and maybe it will in the future, but I doubt it, given that the head of the whole organization just went kaput. But that was a nice twist or reveal, because I didn't see that specific twist coming. I didn't really trust Barry, but I didn't I didn't think he was the head of Morning Song, or the true head of Morning Song, or however you want to look at it. But Bianca had a nice little arc there. I think her lesson was probably, honestly, maybe that's the theme of this whole season, is just people trusting in each other, trusting in their teams, because pretty much every character, it seems like, had that kind of message. With Bianca, it was, she was trying to take care of her mother all by herself, and then Ajax stepped in and did the right thing and helped her without her asking to, which in this circumstance was a good thing. And Ajax did so dirty this season, but you know what? He came around and was very mature about it in the end. There was that kind of prank he pulled towards the beginning of the season, but once that was said and done, he really did a great job turning around it. They did him so much more justice this season than they did last season, where he was hardly a relevant character. Really, no, he was not a relevant character pretty much at all. He was just kind of there. His little love thing with Enid was pretty much the most relevant thing about him. That and the fact that he has a nightshade, so he was involved in some of that. But he didn't really do a whole lot. He wasn't really all that involved. I was so happy that Weems came back, Principal Weems, or what was her name? Larissa Weems, something. I was so happy that she came back, because I don't know if I said this in the last review, but she died so unceremoniously. They really did her dirty that season. She was a great antagonist in season 1, and I did like her character in the sense that she was kind of unlikable, but she was so much more likable this season. She is so good as a spirit guide for Wednesday, or really just in general being a spirit guide, and I hope we get to see more of her in season 3, because she's turned around to be one of my favorite characters this season. Maybe my favorite, now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, because I don't really know. I didn't really think about who my favorite character this season would be. But she definitely had the most points for me all season. That reminds me, Xavier. I was so upset that Xavier wasn't in this season. But my partner explained to me that his actor was under some controversy, which I will not get into here because I'm not informed enough. But I'm vaguely aware of the controversy now. So I'm just going to live with, I'm sad that Xavier, the character, is out of the show, at least for now. Maybe they'll bring him back with a different actor and write in some excuse there. But as it stands, Xavier is basically a non-character, and that makes me sad. But yeah, I totally get the decision to pull him out of the show, the actor. Since we're on the topic of Xavier, let's talk about Tyler. I'm sad. I can't believe I fell for Tyler's nice guy act so well in season 1 that even now in season 2, when he is actively kind of sucks for the whole season, like as a person sucks, I still wanted him to come back around. And maybe he will, but I don't know. We'll have to see in season 3. I guess he's joined in some kind of thing for hides. Heck if I know. But I'm excited to see where that goes, I guess. I don't know how relevant it's going to be, but I'm excited to see how it goes. Seems like we're going to be fighting werewolves or something in season 3. We'll have to see. Oh, but speaking of season 3, I'm not the biggest fan of Fester by any means. As a matter of fact, he might be up there with some of my least favorite recurring important characters. Or depending on what you consider to be important. I'm not a big fan of Fester, so we're going to see a lot of him in season 3, and I'm just going to have to get used to that. Unfortunate, though. But, whatever. At least we're not going to be spending an entire season in Nevermore. I don't know what's going to happen. I think the school got shut down. I don't know. That wasn't made, crystal clear to me, but that was the impression I got, was that Nevermore is getting shut down. I would have thought that they would just replace the principal, though. Maybe they will. I don't know. That would be cool, though. Kind of like what they did in Harry Potter, where it's like, oh, the defensive dark arts teacher position is cursed, and then it's a new teacher every year. Maybe it's something like that. Although it would get kind of... It might get kind of stale having to deal with a new principal, which means a new set of rules every season. That could either go really well because the change-up could work in the plot's favor every season, or it could get really stale. I don't know. Galpin? Oh, poor Sheriff Galpin. Oh my gosh. That poor man. He fell off bad. He fell off bad. And he did so dirty. And it's crazy because I told my partner when I was watching it, I was like, oh, he fell off bad. And then my partner accidentally spoiled that he died, but then tried to play it off like that's not what they meant. But I caught on, and then sure enough, the very next episode, the very next episode, boom, gone. I was like, wow. Okay. So yeah, that happened. R.I.P. And I thought the replacement, which I can't even remember the replacement sheriff's name, but she was in season 1, all season. She almost felt like a whole different character to me from what she was last season. A lot more of a I don't know if I want to say a stickler. Stickler's not really the word, but definitely a lot more assertive. Yeah, I think that's what I'll go with. A lot more assertive, a lot more like hard-boiled. Yeah, a lot more hard-boiled, which is fine. I mean, she suited her role well enough, but definitely not my favorite character of the season by any stretch of the imagination. Definitely just a character that was there, and an antagonist in the same way that Principal Weems was an antagonist. Okay, so I think that's all the recurring characters, I guess, aside from the Addams Family itself. So let's talk about the new characters. First and foremost, Agnes. That's the invisible girl, if you struggle to remember. I liked Agnes. She's a freak. Don't get me wrong. She is a wet freak. But I did like Agnes for that. Like, she's just so insane. She is like the definition of like creepy stalker. But at the same time, maybe it's the actor, maybe it's the character themselves. I don't know. Something about her character is just like, I don't know. I just enjoyed watching them on screen. Like, they were entertaining to me. Because it's like, okay, what kind of crazy shit is she going to come up with next? And her ability is so handy, so useful. She came in clutch so often. And there were times where it's like, I didn't even expect her to be, like, there. And it's like, oh, okay, she's just... It could get kind of stupid, though. Like, if she's just always there, she just pops up all the time, that could be lame. Oh my gosh, recurring characters, I totally forgot. MVP of Season 1, definitely not MVP of Season 2, but MVP of Season 1, the man, the myth, the legend, Eugene, the bee guy, who is now the bug guy, which I can appreciate. He definitely got a lot more screen time, just like every other recurring character did, but I think his character was a lot less important overall. Still useful, like, probably just as useful, if not maybe just slightly less useful, but more versatile in his uses than last season. Just because, just the wide variety of bugs that ended up being a part of everything, especially those moths. Nothing specific I want to say about Eugene other than just he was entertaining. He kind of bounced off of Pugsley quite nice, because Pugsley is like the rest of the Addams Family, just kind of like wild, kooky, if you will, just kooky. So he bounced off of that real well, in the same way he bounced off of Wednesday real well. Maybe less so, because he was a lot more up to Wednesday's weird compared to the rest of the cast overall. Which, circling back around to Wednesday for a minute, I did like the whole, like, oh, Wednesday's famous now she has to deal with that. That was nice. I should circle around and say that really quick before I move back on to the rest of the characters. So, Agnes is great. Principal what, I think Dolt or Dort. Yeah, I can't remember the principal's last name 100%. It's either Dolt or Dort, but I know his first name is Barry. And if I got that wrong too, that's unfortunate. But yeah, the principal. I found him annoying. I didn't like him. Also, high-key, kind of a racist. I think he was written to be mostly unlikable. I did not see the twist coming. I saw something coming. I didn't expect him to be... Like, I expected him to just be generally unlikable. I expected him to be a mild antagonist, kind of in the way Weems was last season. But I did not expect him to end up being, like, one of the final villains, you know? Let alone the head of Morning Song, which I think they probably could have gone further with. Definitely more well executed than Crackstone from last season. That's something I'll give this season, is the final antagonists overall were all significantly better than last season. Where last season, Thornhill was great, and Tyler was great, but Crackstone was lame, just lame, or underwhelming may be the more fair assessment. However, this set of final antagonists. Now, I will say I was disappointed about one thing that Season 1 does much better than Season 2. Season 1 is kind of a slow burn. Every episode, you leave off with way more questions than answers, if any answers at all. And it all, well, I'm not going to say it all comes back around, but most of it comes back around in the last 2-3 episodes. Wraps up real nicely. And the things that I remember having questions about in the first season, like at the end, all got answered here. And my expectations were kind of met, in the sense that I expected Morning Song to be relevant this season. They were. I hoped for Tyler to be more relevant this season, and I hoped to get more on his backstory. I got that. Everything that I expected to see this season, I got. Maybe the only thing I didn't get to see was I wanted to know if there was more background between Sheriff Galpin, Tyler's dad, and Gomez Adams, Wednesday's dad. And either that doesn't exist, or I just didn't get that. Since we're talking about new characters, there was one new character who I felt like was kind of mostly irrelevant, or maybe just uninteresting. And I can't even remember his name now. That's kind of how much I didn't really care about this guy. Was Enid's new boyfriend or whatever, who ended up cheating on her. I was not interested at all. Like, maybe it's because I have a bit of a bias where, like, I didn't like what Enid did to Ajax, or the means in which she went about it. But just, and he wasn't even a bad guy. Well, you know, before the reveal happened, he wasn't even a bad guy. Like there was nothing that made me, like, specifically dislike him until that reveal. I was just kind of like, I just don't care about this guy. Like, but to be fair, I guess I didn't care too much about Ajax in Season 1 either. I just found him kind of endearing because he's just kind of like, he's just kind of like there. He's just a chill guy. I think that's all the new characters, really. Oh, you know who else? New character. That guy, Orloff? Professor Orloff? The Jarhead guy. I don't got a whole lot to say. He was like a cool guy, very nice. And I liked that little meeting with the body parts. I did not expect, first of all, the zombie guy, Isaac Knight. I did not expect that to turn the way it did. That was a good twist, let me tell you, alright? Thing being his right hand, I didn't even notice he was missing his right hand. But I'm not going to go back and watch, but I'm sure that is a detail they put in on purpose and I just wasn't paying attention. So I will give you that, show writers. Good job. I don't know if that is like actual canon Addams Family lore, or if that is specific to this Wednesday series or what, but I'm here for it, let me tell you. Also, I didn't realize, like, I didn't really think about the fact that Gomez didn't have any powers And now I'm like, well, it makes sense that he's got lightning powers, because Fester and Pugsley both had lightning powers. I just assumed it was like some sort of like recessive trait or something, where like not every Addams gets lightning powers, but it's like, dang, I wouldn't be surprised if Wednesday ends up with lightning powers at this point. Speaking of Addams family, Ophelia, I really thought, let's talk about the twist overall. Let's talk about all that. With the twist, with the psychology, or the psychiatric hospital stuff and all that, and the grandmama. Speaking of which, while we're talking about characters, let's talk about Grandmama. Grandmama was alright. I have no strong opinions one way or the other. What I will say about Grandmama is, I don't know if she's going to be like a really important antagonist in season 3, or what's the deal here, but that stuff with Ophelia at the very end, I really thought that the crow person, the person who was controlling the crows, was gonna be Ophelia. And then when it wasn't, I was like, okay, well, maybe it's gonna be, or I guess I should say, when it was revealed that Ophelia has psychic powers, I'm like, oh, okay, well, so far everybody has only had like one power, so she's probably just a psychic. So it's probably not her with the ravens, even though she's like a raven psychic. So I was like, okay, well, maybe the raven person is... I kind of fell for the red herring again, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, maybe the raven is the psychology lady, what's her name, Dr. Fairburn? I thought it was either gonna be Dr. Fairburn or the music lady, who I don't remember her name at all, which is unfortunate because she's definitely gonna be relevant next season. But the werewolf music teacher, I thought it was gonna be her, or it was going to be Dr. Fairburn, was going to be the Raven person. Or maybe the guy in the wheelchair, who was like a really important doctor, scientist guy. But less so him, because I kind of felt like it was a pretty obvious red herring with him, with the birds. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's no more or less obvious than the running scene where they framed it to be Dr. Fairburn or the music teacher. Either way, I mean, I fell for it. I fell for it both ways. When it got revealed that it was the front desk lady, I was like, I feel like this was a bad twist. And also, I feel like the twist was kind of early, but then it balanced out because we got so much more of stuff that I wanted more of anyway towards the end of the season, like with Tyler and all that. So it's kind of like, all right, whatever, I could live with it, but I don't know. I don't feel like there were enough signs there for me to guess, or for me to deduce that it was going to be the front desk lady. I guess what I'm saying is, I thought that this was a bad plot twist, or a bad reveal. And you may disagree. I know my partner definitely disagreed with me when I talked about it with them. I was like, I feel like there weren't any signs. And my partner was like, well, I don't remember exactly, but something to the effect of like, oh, she's got me on a tight leash or whatever. Like, that doesn't really work for me. I wouldn't have gathered anything from that. That doesn't say anything to me, even in retrospect. Excuse me, knowing everything I know, having watched the season. And I'll be upfront, I binged this season in 2 days. 2 days. I started early in the morning during the time when I would, in theory, be recording in my car. I just started watching it then. And then I watched more of it that afternoon after work, after cooking dinner. And then I watched more of it the next morning. And then I watched the rest of it that afternoon. I binged this season quick, let me tell you. And it's partly because my approach changed. It's not that season 1 wasn't as good, or that I wasn't as interested in season 1 as I was season 2, for anyone who might be wondering that. It's just that my style changed, because, you know, I'm still new, so I'm trying different things. And with season 1, I was going down, making notes, asking questions, reviewing my notes, and kind of condensing into a better, more concise notes, because I was going to write a script off of those notes. And that ended up being such a time-consuming process, and I just felt like me reading from a script didn't sound as good or as entertaining or as natural as when I sit here and talk candidly, where I have to stop and think a lot more. But listening to it, I just feel like I sound more engaged this way. So the bright side to that is it takes me a lot less time to watch these things, and that's why I got through season 2 of Wednesday a lot faster than I got through season 1. I guess to summarize where we're at, I liked the plot structure. I was disappointed in the reveal with the Crow Lady, but the overall season, I just thought that it was well structured, but much faster paced. I guess I would say the first half is kind of that mystery that you get from the first 6 or so episodes of season 1. And then the second half is a lot more of that thriller action type deal that you have going on in the last leg of season 1. That's how I feel about season 2. So just to reiterate a little more clearly, episodes 1 through 4 of season 2, more mystery solving. Episodes 5 through 8, more action / thriller. That's how I feel about that. But I liked it. And did I like season 2 more than season 1? I think sitting on it, maybe I've got a little bit of recency bias on this, I think overall I liked it better. But I liked it for different reasons. I think the reasons that I liked season 1 are not the reasons I liked season 2. At least not in its entirety. But I think season 2 overall has more going on. Just overall, just there's more different plots going on. And not everything is about Wednesday. Wednesday is the titular character, but it's not all about her. And I like that. I like that we've got... It's like with Stranger Things, which I'd love to get to, and I'll either do that next, or it'll definitely be on the docket, because I want to be caught up on here with you guys by season 5. I am caught up, but I want the reviews to be caught up before season 5 gets out. So, expect some Stranger Things in the future. But yeah, I guess that's my final thoughts, is I liked season 2 more than I liked season 1. Very good season. Excited for season 3. But at the same time, not excited because I don't like Fester that much. Side note though, I am very glad that Thing did not die. I thought for sure, especially with the premonition that an Adams was gonna die, I'm like, oh, I see what they're doing here. So Thing is gonna die. And it's like, oh, the Adams that died was Thing, because even though Thing was like Isaac Knight's hand, he's really, at heart, he's an Adams. So Thing Adams. Like, oh, okay, that's cool. But that's not what happened. That's not what happened. Apparently you could just stop the vision from happening, which is cool, I guess. I do like that they took away Wednesday's psychic power, though, because the strong suit of it in season 1 was that she didn't really understand how to use it. So it was kind of a mixed bag. Whereas with season 2, it's like, oh, well, she's got a much better understanding of how to use it, but now she's overused it and it doesn't work as good. That was cool. I liked that. And she still hasn't gotten it back. So it's going to be just Wednesday being just Wednesday without the psychic powers come for season 3, which I'm excited for. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you for joining me. Can't wait to see you guys in the future. Leave a like, comment what you liked or disliked about season 2. Maybe you disagree with me on some of the points I made in this video. Let me know if I missed anything. Maybe I can comment, or maybe I can clarify some things in the comments. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you for joining me, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.